my place, and I am welcome.
And good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. Thank you for joining us this morning for our Sunday service on December the 6th, 2020. And today we have licensed Unity teacher Wendy Carr speaking to us about peace in the midst of. So she's pondering today whether peace is the absence of, the presence of, or something different altogether. And we were called, if you are part of our email group or follow us on Facebook, she invited us to consider that and contemplate on that this week, the first week of Advent. And the theme for this week is peace. So we are invited to contemplate that. And I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on this, Wendy. Now, for those of you who don't know Wendy, she has been speaking for us for, well over a year on and off. And she has been a member of the Unity movement since 1984, becoming a licensed Unity teacher in 2000. She's currently a LUT, or a licensed Unity teacher representative for Unity Canada's board of members. And she also serves on the Unity Worldwide Ministries licensed Unity teacher ministry team. She teaches spiritual enrichment classes offered by video conferencing. And not only does she speak for us, but you can also find her at Unity Church of Mississauga, which is her official spiritual home. Thank you for joining us today, Wendy. As always, I always look forward to your talks. And so we begin our invocation. I invite you to flatten your feet on the floor, allow yourself and your body to just get comfortable and heavy in your seats. You can close your eyes, you can keep them open, whatever you feel called to do. As we begin centering ourselves with the breath, and we're going to take a nice deep breath in, filling our lungs, expanding our rib cage, and releasing that breath, allowing our bodies to fully relax into this present moment. And take another deep breath in, breathing in love, peace, faith, joy, and releasing the breath, letting go of all thoughts, all tension, all feelings, everything we were doing up until this very moment. As we center ourselves in the truth that God is peace. This divine comfort and ease is present in every sunrise and every sunset. It's every inhalation and exhalation of breath. This deep peace is in this beautiful planet and in every star and in the space between the stars. It's an energy, an essence of ease and relief. It's always present and available to all. There is simply no place that this peace does not exist. Like a river through the mountains or the forest or all the way to the ocean, this peace carries through all activity. Nothing can stand in its way. We are all connected to this source of deep peace. It is within each one of us and all around us. It resides at the very center of our being. It resides in that safe place where we've never been harmed or hurt, and only love exists. And the love of this deep peace that is God is so great that it's comforting to us. It holds us and knows us better than we know ourselves. And we are open to this connection and accept the peace it creates. We claim the truth of this right now. We accept this for ourselves, our ability to move through whatever life has in store for us with this deep peace as our companion. Its power and presence guides us and directs us to our next right action and to loving kindness, because we allow this feeling of peace. It radiates outward from each one of us, affecting all those with whom we come into contact. And we know that we uplift the whole and enjoy everything more fully. Our hearts reside in gratitude for the knowing of this prayer and for the allowing of the truth that knowing is creating to shift our awareness. And so it is. Amen. As I mentioned earlier, today is the second week of Advent, and Advent is a time for preparation for our hearts and minds for the anniversary of the Christ's birth on Christmas Day. In unity, we know that the Christ within is ever present, and however during this season we reconnect with that presence in a conscious way. We celebrate collectively the spirit of love that is encouraged or invoked during these holy days. And Advent is celebrated from the first week of December to Christmas Day. And it includes 4 Sundays with specific themes meant to open our hearts to hope and faith, peace, love, and joy. The use of the Advent wreath and candles is a long-standing tradition that was originally adopted in the Middle Ages from the Festival of Lights, and the wreath and candles are full of symbolism. The wreath, made of various evergreens, signifies continuous life. The circle of the wreath, which has no beginning or end, symbolizes the eternity of God, the immortality of the soul, and the everlasting love we find in the Christ presence. Last week, we lit the candle of hope and faith. And this week, we're invited to light the candle of peace and allow peace to fill our hearts as we prepare for Christmas joy. Unity York Region has a vision. We have a big one. And we share that vision with Unity Worldwide Ministries. Now, the vision is on the screen, and I'm going to invite everyone to recite it with me as I read it. A world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. And let's just take a breath and let that land for a second. It's a big vision, and it's a good one. And how we support that vision, how we embody it, is through Unity York Region. How our particular group, how our particular community does that is through our mission. And I'm going to invite everyone to recite that with me. We are a vibrant, thriving, spiritual community serving the world by embodying unity principles of higher consciousness. And that's how we do it. And so the daily word for today, for Sunday, December the 6th, 2020, is peace. And I'm going to invite one of our members, Susan, to read the daily word for today.
Thank you, Vesna. Happy Sunday, everyone. And so the daily word is peace. The light of God shines within all people. I pause to remember this truth as I consider the world and my relationship to it. Jesus said, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you." The same divine light that lived in Jesus is shining brightly in me. My peace is a gift I choose to give to the world. I bless the world by affirming, the kingdom of God is among us here and now. It is through this Christ-centered awareness that I project a consciousness of peace. I live, move, and have my being in the light, love, and peace of God. I expand my awareness of divine ideas through prayer and meditation, and I do my part to uplift the consciousness of the entire planet. I am walking in the light of God, and I am at peace. The readings from Revelation 21:24. The nations will walk by its light, and the kings of the earth will bring their glory into it. So let's repeat the affirmation together. Peace flows through me and blesses the world.
Thank you, Susan. So Unity York Region is an inclusive community, and we welcome people from all races, cultures, lifestyles, and creeds. And during the month of December, Unity York Region, and actually the Canadian Unity Movement, affirms prosperity, peace, and harmony for the following Unity Center. It's Unity of Montreal and Montreal, Quebec. So we affirm prosperity, peace, and harmony for Unity of Montreal. Amen. Sorry, guys, I had a slide moved in the wrong place. So Unity York Region does have a prayer program. It is alive and well. And I want to thank personally, as one of the prayer chaplains, for all those who've reached out for prayer requests. It is an honor to be able to pray with you and to center ourselves in that divinity within us. If you have a prayer request that you would like either myself or one of the other prayer chaplains to pray upon for you, or we're also very happy to call you back and pray with you if that's what you need, just simply send a request to contact at Unity York Region. You can also leave a voicemail at the number that is our toll-free number, and someone will call you back or let you know that we have received your prayer request. If there's a need for immediate prayer, you can call Silent Unity on the screen. The number, it's our prayer ministry. There is someone there 24/7 available to receive your prayer request. Simply call 1-800-NOW-PRAY. And next we have All Good by Ricky Briers-Beckwith and the Agape Choir.
All good, holy, holy. All good, holy, holy.
And now on to our announcements and upcoming events. So this week is week 3 of our Christmas journey through the 4 agreements. And so week 3, which is the 3rd agreement of the book by Don Rius Miguel, is don't make assumptions. And Debbie Long, the facilitator of the class, will be connecting that with the 3rd week of Advent's theme, truth and love and hope abide this Christmas tide. The talks have been and the discussions have been and conversations have been very deep, and it's an absolutely perfect complement to anyone who practices Advent. So we look forward to having you there. There is no requirement to have the book, just simply show up and participate. And that's Thursday, December the 10th at 7:30. There's a link in our e-blast. The information, if you're watching on Facebook, is also in our events. So take a look and hopefully we'll see you there. Next week's Sunday service is with licensed Unity teacher Sheila Maye, and she will be speaking about love, a gift worth unwrapping to give. Now, that love is the 3rd, again, like I just mentioned, the 3rd theme for Advent, and her talk will be about how love can warm open hearts and pain, just the thought of love can warm open hearts and pain cynical or jaded hearts. Perhaps it's at the top of your Christmas list or the first Christmas gift you open. In the whirlwind of external Christmas preparation, love can get lost and as intangible. So join us next week as Sheila explores ways to prepare our hearts to rediscover the sparkle of Christmas love in everything. Now for our Thursday night study group in January, so specifically January 7th to February the 11th, Reverend Pat Ball will be teaching The Eye of the Storm. It's a book by Reverend Gary Simmons, a Unity minister. It honestly is, I've already studied the book. I strongly recommend it. It's about being able to live within the eye of the storm. Perfect theme that really lines up with Unity's theme for 2021. And so it's about remaining centered in, whatever chaos you may be experiencing. So it's a really meaty book. There's wonderful exercises. And Reverend Pat will be bringing in all sorts of great things into the class. Now, all we request is that you do let us know if you're interested. So if you're watching on Facebook, you can send us an inbox message. If you receive our weekly e-blast, please reply to the e-blast. Let us know that you're interested. Pat has materials that she'd like to send out to people of the group. And this is a C credit, so you can, for those who are looking at earning credits, this is an opportunity to do so. So please reach out. There is no real cost. You don't have to pay a fee to join, but there is a suggested love offering of $10 to $20 per session. And Pat asks, instead of paying it to her directly, to forward that to your own ministry. So I'm excited to delve into this again in the new year with everyone and with Pat leading the way. And next we have Daniel Nabod's song, I Give Myself to You, and Wendy will be taking it from there and starting her talk.
God of the mystical canyons, God of the ocean blue, God of the glacier-carved mountains, I give myself to you. God of the first redwood forest, God of the seedling new, God of the wildflower meadow, I give myself to you. Yours is a higher power, yours is a greater plan. Finally I surrender into your loving hand. God of the sun's endless fire, God of the gleaming moon, God of our earthly oasis, I give myself to you. Yours is a higher power, yours is a greater plan. Finally I surrender into your loving hands. God of this heartbeat within me, God of this gift of life, God of no end or beginning, I am yours and you are mine. I am yours and you are mine.
Good morning, everybody. It's wonderful to be back with you. Let me just get my slides here. So I don't know if it was intentional, but the last time I was with you, I was talking about Remembrance Day and war and peace and all of those wonderful things. So it's my blessing to talk a little bit more about peace today. And as Vesna already said, I have a question for you. Is peace the presence of, the absence of, or perhaps something altogether different? So going to our co-founder, from remarks he made on Veterans Day in 1925, and this is part of a much larger talk, where he suggested that people had, instead of being preparing for peace, they've been preparing for more war. And he said, we must form in ourselves first a peace-loving spirit. We must make up our minds that we do not want to fight, that we do not want to get anything through force. We want what we want to come to us in a peaceful way. And a few years later, in 1937, as the winds of war were beginning to form over in Europe, he wrote an article entitled, Can Christ Prevent War? And he wrote in that, Jesus's representatives are evidently not understanding or carrying out the orders of the Prince of Peace. They are listening rather to the war cry of the insane destroyers of the world's civilization. Instead of praying for universal peace, for the reign of peace and love, they are praying for the victory of their armies. Now, to be fair, Charles was a man of his time. As a boy, he would have been somewhat aware of the Civil War in the US. He had lived through World War I and was about to live through World War II. As early as the time of Jesus, if not before, there was a prevalent belief that the only way to create peace was through war. So peace wasn't something that you created. It was something that was an offset and something that came out of having a war rather than consciously creating it. You know, we talk about creating things in our minds and co-creating. That really wasn't part of our understanding. It was very much that if you have a war, then peace will come. And somebody said that a bad peace was even worse than war. So there's all this idea around worship that we have up until, well, for a larger amounts, even today we still have this. So I wanted to explore, so if peace isn't about something that comes out of war, then what is peace? And as I worked through it, I really came to these questions. What is it? Is it the absence, the presence, or something different? And I will leave it to you, but I'm going to share with you a few ideas that I've had. So first of all, let's get clear on our languaging. Those of you who know me know that that's very important to me. So Merriam-Webster, the regular common usage language, the definitions there aren't too surprising. A state of tranquility or quiet, freedom from civil disturbance, state of security or order within a community, harmony in personal relations, a state or period of mutual concord between governments, or used interjectionally to ask for silence or calm or as a greeting or farewell. I also went to the Strong's Exhaustive Concordance, and for those of you who aren't familiar with that, it's a master dictionary. It's with the King James Version, and it counts all the places that a word appears, and then the original meaning of the Hebrew or the Greek, and gives you kind of an extra flavor to the languaging. That's been one of my challenges with doing Bible studies, is English is just such a boring language by comparison. It doesn't have the same flavors that the ancient languages do. So in Hebrew, in the Hebrew scriptures, or what we also call the Old Testament, the word that appears the most, that encompasses the concept of peace, is the word for Jerusalem, the foundation of peace. And the second most common word is a word that means keep the peace in your voice. And then we don't really get to our usual associated word of shalom until that's the third most common. It appears in the King James 237 times. And that means a completeness, a soundness that, really doesn't construct with our concept of war and peace, but rather with the idea of tranquility as peace. Then we get other words that talk about the community being at peace, peace within a family. Then we move into the Christian scriptures or the New Testament. We have the Greek words. The most common one is a word that means one, peace, quietness, or rest. So that's, much more than what we're used to in terms of the usual meaning. So let's take those meanings and apply them in our lives. So here's a photo that I took quite a while ago. And on the one hand, for me, this is a picture of peace. It's, we've got the light coming through the clouds. But some of you might have a fear of heights and be going, where was she standing? Is this from a helicopter? Is this from a drone? No, I was standing near the edge of the Grand Canyon, looking down into it and marveling at what had been created. But I can see as I'm looking at this, there's parts that jump out at me, that the clouds, don't look especially peaceful. It's that whole stream of light in the middle. Reminds me of a story of an art contest where the winning picture was a very stormy picture. And in the midst of that was a single ray of light highlighting a mother bird protecting her chicks. So for some, this might be a stressful picture. This might trigger fear of falling or other things. And I can tell you the day I took it, it was actually a very cold day. I hadn't done my research properly, didn't know that the Grand Canyon was going to have snow when I was going to be there. I just knew it was the off season and I could actually get a room for a decent price. So the thing for me is that it's peaceful and potentially not peaceful at the same time. And that's what I'm coming to the conclusion of right now. That 2020 for me has really been a year about this and that. I've used the analogy before, I'll use it again here. The idea that our lives are like a coin. We have a human or physical side, we have a spiritual, eternal side, and we roll on the edge and try and find the balance. And so too with peace, that we may have aspects that don't feel peaceful, we may have aspects that feel peaceful, and the idea is to find the balance as best we can. So in Charles Fillmore's book, Prosperity, he writes, there is sure to be repetition of war and peace, plenty and famine, good times and depressions, until we take the control of mind substance away from the sense self and give it to the spiritual self. So what he's talking about there is really changing our focus from the outer world into the inner world, and knowing that that is where our strength comes from, and from whence we can give to the rest of the world. In Mysteries of John, he also writes, we may plan peace and achieve it, but if this peace is not based on divine law, evolving love, and that law incorporated into the pact of peace, as well as into the minds of those who sign that pact, we shall have no permanent peace. I think we're seeing some of that right now in parts of the world where we're having discussions about various ideas of politics, or what is right, what is purpose. And because folks aren't agreeing on it and they're not taking it into their heart, we're seeing some disagreement here. I'm kind of conscious of it. I have a lot of family in the States, and that's all I'll say. But I'm conscious of it. And what can I do about it? Well, personally, I can do nothing. I'm not a voter in the States. I have no control over it. What I can control is how I react or act, how I bring my consciousness into the presence of this time. Elizabeth Sand Turner, who was a Bible scholar and wrote the key metaphysical books, said we should take into consideration there are two kinds of peace. One is destructive and the other is constructive. Peace at any price, which means the surrender of one's highest beliefs to appease another, is destructive. And I think this is really important. I found it really interesting that she would include this in her Bible study, that the idea that, you know, some folks say, oh, unity folk, they're so positive. And sometimes we overstep that. We don't set healthy boundaries for ourselves. And for me, in this, she's saying, no, it's important to set those healthy boundaries. It's important to say this and no farther. It's important to say, this is mine to do, this is my belief, and to respect others, but to not, you know, make yourself a floor mat to appease someone else because of the peace. And I'm not saying it's easy, but I think it's important for us to be conscious of it and to endeavor to try and implement that in our lives as best we can. Here's another picture that reminds me of peace. And this for me is both absence and presence. This was taken in the British Virgin Islands. I was on a sailing trip, and we had a heck of a storm overnight. And we were tied up to a mooring ball. And for those of you who don't sail and have never tied up to a mooring ball, I spent the night in my little bunk, and we crashed against the mooring ball every time the boat flipped, because we're not anchored. We're tied to a ball that is floating in the water. Now it's anchored to the bottom of the floor bed of the water, but we're flipping around, and every time we hit the ball, it was like I thought it was going to come through and break the boat, because it was bouncing into my back. So there was no peace for me that night. I did not sleep well. But the morning broke, and as you can see, there's still a little bit of storm moving off. So the peace there was the absence of the storm, the absence of smashing into that mooring ball, and the presence of the sunlight, and the presence of the clouds breaking, and the presence that the water no longer had white caps on it. So for me, this is an example of the acknowledgement that peace can be both absence and presence simultaneously. Gardner Hunting, an early Unity writer, writes, peace is an atmosphere of the heart, a state of the individual soul, and has nothing to do with environment or circumstance. Okay, breathing into this next one. To agree with our adversary does not mean to admit defeat, to give in to sickness or poverty, to accept unhappiness as our lot. But it means to make peace with ourselves, to let go of the negative thoughts and feelings that seem to keep us in inner conflict. One of the most important steps we can take toward freedom and peace of mind is that of surrender. Surrender of ourselves, our thoughts, our feelings to God, or oneness, or however you name that divine sense of eternality. Martha Spock used to be the editor of Daily Word. And finally, a third set of thoughts. Practice peace even if everyone seems to fail you, Even if your job is gone, your goods seems to be slipping away, your loved ones have turned aside, and health problems challenge. Practice peace. You can't lose your peace through what others are doing. You lose your peace because of what you are failing to do. And Sue Seeking was a Unity minister in California. So here's the thing. Peace is your responsibility. You have no control over what is happening around you. You may have some ability to say, okay, I'm driving. I can choose whether or not I'm going to cut that person off, or I'm going to drive in a responsible manner. There are some things we have some control over. But a lot of what's happening, especially in 2020, we have no control over. And so the goal for us, and I will invite you to do this as best you can. There are days when I can find peace, and there are other days where peace eludes me. I get that. But here's your opportunity to look at your perceptions, see how things are happening around you, and then see how you choose to act or react. And that's where the peace is at, because a lot of the times we will react. We may not think, we get into that fear, flight, freeze mode, and we act from that reptile brain or whatever we want to call it. The idea that we have a choice, that we can choose to take a breath and count to 10. I love that on YouTube, the Sesame Street gang, they're teaching kids how to belly breathe. They're teaching kids how to calm themselves by blowing out a candle and then smelling a flower. They're teaching kids these ideas of how to calm themselves. And I know a few adults, in my judgmental opinion, who could use some belly breathing and practicing breathing in other ways. And maybe that's a reminder for ourselves that in these days, in this chaos or seeming chaos, let's look for that silver lining. Let's look for that moment of peace. I kind of chuckle. I live across from a school, an elementary school. And when they first built the school, the neighbors were all, oh, it's going to be so noisy. But I found after time, I kind of enjoyed having the kids and the sound of their joyous play. And during the summer, I would miss it, and it would be all the more obvious because the school bell would still ring. Now, it was useful for me because I'd have my windows open and I'd know, oh, it's time to get up from my computer and walk around and make a snack and whatever. And then COVID hit, and they turned the bells off at the school. And I've missed that. Our neighborhood's been very quiet. And some folks would say, oh, it's so peaceful. But I miss the peace that I could find in watching the kids play. They'd have their annual event where I could really see them, and watching the little ones and the bigger kids helping the little ones run the race or carry the egg or whatever they were doing. So there was peace in that. And yet it was noisy. But there was joy in that. So we need to be clear for ourselves, what is it that brings us peace? What is it that defines our sense of peace? Now, I wouldn't want to try and meditate during play day. I know that. But during the time while they're inside having their lessons, sure, bring it on. It's a great time. But it's still peace. It's still an expression of peace. One last picture to demonstrate. So I took this when I was on the Canadian, taking the train back from Vancouver to Toronto. And I looked at this picture and I thought, oh, that was so peaceful. And then a little voice in the back of my mind went, yeah, but that's when you were sitting on the siding waiting for the freight train to pass. And it was behind schedule. And our train was 3 hours late getting in Toronto, and we missed our connection. So it's on the surface, it's peaceful. But perhaps underneath it's not so much. And, you know, there were some memories for me that you don't have, that you, looking at this without my telling you, you probably thought, oh, isn't that tranquil and pastoral and whatever. So it's about how we see things. It's so much about our perception and what societal norms, what memories, what previous teachings do we bring to that? You know, being at peace with the fact that we were sitting on the siding. I was giving thanks because we had been steaming along so fast that I had gotten no pictures that were clear, and it was such a beautiful part of our country, and I wanted to memorialize it for, you know, not only myself, but to share with others. Finally, a thought from J. Sig Paulson and Rick Dickerson. Peace, which is related to meditation and relaxation, is not a state of inertness, but a state of alertness. And that's, I think, I hope I've kind of been demonstrating that through the rest of this talk, the idea that it's not about being, just kind of, I'm sitting in my chair and I'm not doing anything, but that we can be actively involved in peace, whether it's taking steps to create a peaceful area to live in, or to reach out to someone and create harmony in a relationship. But that idea of being alert to the opportunities for peace, the opportunities to demonstrate peace, maybe as simple as being calm in a checkout line, and giving the gift of that peace to someone who might feel a little harried doing that work right now. And if you want a help finding a way to do this, I strongly recommend you take Rev Pat's class in January on the Eye of the Storm. That has been a great teacher for me about finding peace in the midst. We can have peace of mind and spirit only when we rise out of hurt feeling and bless every person and situation. That is so true for me, and I invite you to follow that path if you choose. The time that I've had, particularly during COVID, one of the things that I try to bring when I go out and do my grocery shopping and I'm masked and I can't smile at the cashier and give them that nonverbal communication is to say, hey, just take a moment, take a breath, would you? You look a little like you could use to take a breath. And a lot of them really struggle with that because we've been so ingrained that we have to hurry, that we have to have certain things be a certain way or it's not normal. Well, guess what, folks? We're in not normal times right now. So I'm inviting you to take a deep breath, find ways of bringing more peace into your life. I love this shot. This is in the Niagara Gorge. That jumped at me that there's this one spot where the water looks totally calm. Now it's moving, but it's calmly moving. It doesn't have the whiteness of the anxiety of the bubbles of all the anticipation and things. So I invite you to be as this little patch of water, be the calm in the midst. We practice peace so as to anchor it into our consciousness and allow it to become a habit, our action and reaction to life's circumstances. So I invite you to take a few moments after service today and just ponder, what is it that peace means to you? Is there anything that this talk has caused you to rethink or perhaps change? That it's okay to let go of societal norms. It's okay to let go of past teachings and relearn and reteach and come to a new place, especially as we're moving into the new year, that this is your opportunity as we move through Advent into Christmas to let go of whatever it is that no longer serves you and move into a place where you can create more peace. And now we'll prepare for our meditation within the stillness. And I just remembered I didn't turn this on right. So let me stop sharing and do it correctly here.
In the stillness of this moment, there is peace. There is peace. In the stillness of this moment, there is peace. There is peace, and I rest and trust and breathe and know is peace. In the stillness of this moment, there is peace. There is peace. In the stillness of this moment, there is peace. There is peace, and I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment there is peace. In the stillness of this moment there is love. There is love. In the stillness of this moment there is love. There is love, and I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment there is love, sweet love, yeah, sweet love. In the stillness of this moment, I feel love. I feel love. In the stillness of this moment, I feel love. I feel love, and I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment I feel love. In the stillness of this moment, I am peace. I am peace. In the stillness of this moment, I am peace. I am peace, and I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment I am peace. I am love. I am peace.
And as we move into our time of meditation, I invite you to get comfortable. If you need to wiggle a little bit, please do. And let us join together, breathing into that space where we feel our connection, where we feel our oneness, heart to heart, hand to hand, soul to soul. That place of true peace. That place where I am at peace with who I am. That place where I acknowledge there may be parts of me that I'm not too happy about, but that I can choose to love that part of me and be at peace with it. Breathing into a sense of peace for the world, knowing that we are as lighthouses, that we can choose to shine our light throughout this world, that we don't need to go out and physically be active, that the highest thing we can do for any person is to see the oneness that we share, to see the Christ within them, and to hold to that vision regardless of the outer appearance. To find that place where we can look at the news and say, I may not like it, it may not be desirable, but I can be at peace. I can hold to the vision of peace for this world. And in holding it for the world, I can help to bring it into manifestation. I can be the calm in the midst of the rapids. I can be the eye in the midst of the hurricane. I can be the calm in the midst of the busyness. I can be as a lighthouse and bring that light. Breathing into this, we bless all prayer requests in this ministry and everywhere, holding the peace that is present in all, knowing that each person can find that peace within, that we can choose to be a mirror and help them be aware of it, but that truly they can find it for themselves. We don't have to fix. We don't have to coddle. We can set the example. We can send virtual hugs and energies of peace to this world. And for this time together, this opportunity to come into oneness, we are so grateful. And so it is, and so it shall be. Amen.
Thank you for your patience, everyone. And thank you, Wendy. As always, your talks give me a lot of food for thought. So I look forward to the conversation following service and to get everyone's perspective on it. And so we would like Unity York Region, that's the we, really wants to thank everyone for their continued support. You've given from your hearts and allowed that love to flow through you and our spiritual community so that we continue to be able to serve the world and you. And we are a 100% supported ministry funded by the generous love offerings from our community. So your contribution allows us to inspire and support one another and all those who join us now and into the future. So you can continue to give by sending an e-transfer. There is a link in our website and in our email blast that will allow you to give online, or you can use the old-fashioned way of snail mail to our address on the screen, which is also on our website. So if we can recite the love offering blessing together. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. God is my source. Thank you, God.
My gift goes forth on the wings of love, and it lands where it can heal and bless. It returns to me, multiplied 1,000-fold, as the universe says yes, yes, as the universe says yes.
Unity of York Region is abundantly blessed. Creative people are drawn to us. Divine ideas flow through us. Financial resources bless us, and we accomplish mighty works together. Thank you, everyone. We are a truly blessed community. And we are going to recite the prayer for protection, and I invite everyone to recite it with me. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
And let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And Robin, if you can give us our go forth blessing.
Yes. We are now surrounded and enfolded by the pure white light of Spirit. Nothing but good shall come to us, and only good shall go from us. Go forth in peace, joy, and radiant love. Amen.
Have a blessed week, everyone.